Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to today's video. So in this video I'm going to be discussing SCP-095, also known as the Atomic Adventures of Ronnie. So this one seemed like quite an interesting one to cover. There isn't a picture for this one, but that'll kind of make a bit more sense as I go into it. So as usual, I will be referring to this one just by number 095, so then I don't have to keep repeating SCP every 5 seconds basically. So as usual, let's start with the special containment procedures. So 095 is to be placed in a standard polyethylene sleeve when not under scheduled research and stored in a standard locked filing cabinet to prevent damage or wear. High resolution digital scans are available for any level 1 and above personnel who wish to view 095. So that's just a little thing, so it's pretty standard containment procedure going on, you know, just chilling in a sleeve and not to be taken out unless, you know, it's being for research to protect it. So pretty standard at the moment. So let's move on to the description. I can't get words out then, I do apologise about that, guys. So 095 appears to be a set of 3 modularly aged black and white comic books printed in 1932. The front and rear covers are missing and several pages have been rendered illegible due to water damage. It was found by Agent Redacted, so we're going to call him Agent with Agent Face, in a small antique shop in Denver, Colorado, and purchased for a small fee without incident. The owner of the shop had apparently not read the item past the publisher's date on the first page. Very sus. But anyway, I digress. Let's carry on. Forensic inspections of 095 have revealed it to be genuine, though completely unremarkable save for its content. It is printed on cheap pulp paper and inked with dyes common to the publications of its era. The publisher's stamp indicates it was produced by Future Funnies, a company operating out of the town of Purple Lake, Ohio. All research and inquiries thus far have shown that both the company and the town to be completely non-existent. I wouldn't stand a chance with researching that. I don't really know about American geography. It seems quite complex. I'm rubbish with geography anyway, never mind different countries. But it's quite interesting how the company and the actual town, it was a town wasn't it, yeah, and the actual town itself doesn't actually seem to exist, but it has this weird comic book that, and I also find it weird that the owner that I bought it from also hadn't read it. Like, surely if you had this old school looking comic book, surely you'd want to read it. I mean, unless that's just me being a nerd. I am quite a big nerd, in all fairness, but yeah, it seems very odd to me, to be fair, but let's carry on anyway. So the comic itself is a pulp science fiction story entitled The Atomic Adventures of Ronnie, featuring a lead character bearing an unmistakable resemblance to former United States President Ronald Reagan. Each story opens with a large panel reading in the far-fetched future world of the 1980s. Only Ronnie Reagan can save the day. It appears to follow an episodic sorry about this, guys. It appears to follow a format that has different episodes. I'm just going to reword that, yeah. So basically the format follows different episodes of Ronnie Reagan, with one self-contained story per publication. The 3 stories are briefly described below. So the first story we have is called Ronnie versus Space Admiral Carter. So this story pits Governor Ronnie Reagan and his sidekick Space Major Herbert against the titular Space Admiral Carter as they both vie for the position of Space Marshal. The events loosely follow the events of the 1980 presidential election. Now, for me personally, I don't actually know what happened in presidential election. I'm not really up on American politics. It's not really something I follow. I have no interest in it, to be completely honest. I do not know about America. I don't know a great lot about America, to be honest. But yeah, but that's quite an interesting sounding story anyway. No, you know, and you find out that what good old Ronnie Reagan's got a sidekick, so that's quite cool how they're bringing Herbert into this. I love that name, Herbert. Herbert's a good solid name. Anyway, let's go on to the second book. So the second book is called Space Assassin. This story follows a character named Spaceman Hinckley as he prepares to assassinate Space Marshal Reagan. He manages to catch Reagan by surprise and wound him with his devastation ray before being subdued by Reagan's soldiers. The events obviously refer to the 1981 assassination attempt by John Hinckley Jr. So, I'm gonna go with the assassination attempt with John F. Kennedy, was it? I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah, well, I think it's that one. I'm not 100% sure. I am so sorry if I got that wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me down in the comments below, because like I've said previously, I'm not really into American politics and what's happened in American history. Sorry, but you know, I struggle with British history enough. Never mind trying to learn about American history as well as history was not my strong point at school, as you could probably tell. But no, but it's still quite interesting, to be fair. And then we're going to move on to the last story, which is Jungle Planet. This story follows Reagan's attempts to create an army of robots on the jungle-covered planet of Nika in order to protect it from the evil sand bandits. Although Reagan is told that he will lose his command if he interferes with events on planet Nika, he sends his lieutenant, Space Colonel West, to secretly build a force under the cover of the jungle. When their plan is discovered, Space Colonel West publicly takes the blame and says he's superior. This storyline appears to be a simplified retelling of the Iran-Contra controversies of 1986. So these three stories all seem to take place or be based around what happened in the 1980s in America. So this is not my strong suit, so I do apologise, but it's still quite interesting how they all seemed, and especially with the main character, good old Reagan, being based around one of the American presidents. That's quite an interesting one. And I think I read up before, like, again, I might be wrong because I don't know a great deal about this, right? But I'm pretty sure, wasn't it Reagan, President Reagan, that used to be an actor? Because isn't it a thing in America that like actors and stuff and like the celebrities in general can become presidents? No, I find that like mad myself, but then that's probably because I'm not from America. But I'm pretty sure I read that, unless I'm making it up. I am really sorry if I am making it up, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. But anyway, let's go on to the final bit. So, possibly most interesting is the final page of each book, which advertises other stories published by future funnies. Investigation is underway to locate any surviving copies at once. The advertised stories are listed below. So that's quite an interesting, like, I love it when comic books do that. And you used to get in some magazines, or the ones I used to read anyway. I used to read some pretty nerdy magazines back in the day. I mean, I used to read like comic books and stuff. It was always cool to go to the back of it and see the other stories that they do with them. I mean, like, I still read manga, and some of the mangas I read have it on the front or the back pages. I like seeing all different stories from the same person. It's quite an interesting way of finding new stories that are similar to what you've just read. So anyway, the future copies that they haven't found a copy of as of this moment is Space Major Herbert Assumes Command. So good old Herbert comes back. Then we've got Starman Willie versus the Space Succubus. That one sounds quite interesting, a bit spicy potentially. It depends what the age range is. The third one is Globe Walker in Sneak Attack. Then we've got Barry. Oh, I can't pronounce that name. I'll leave a link to this. You have to read the fourth one because I am not even going to attempt it, because I am going to butcher that. So I do apologise. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is Diamond Donny in Putting on the Ritz. Then we've got Sky Mom Sarah on the Ice World. Then we've got Flying Franken versus Rocket Rush. Then we've got Star Command Proton in a Losing Battle. And then lastly we've got The New Menace, Death to Mankind. So they seem quite interesting sort of titles. I think the definite theme going on is definitely space. Like, I'm definitely getting a very space theme by the character names, by the title names, by the description of what's going on. It seems very space-like, but that is the end of describing SCP-095. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, lets me know what you guys enjoy. And if you have any suggestions for any future videos, be it SCP or just sort of really random, then let me know. I'll always have a look into them. I like hearing suggestions. I know I did a post over on Tumblr in the creepypasta community asking for suggestions, and I did have some really cool suggestions that should be out now. Yeah, I scheduled a video to come out before this one. So yeah, it's a good way of finding different things on the internet. So like I say, if you have any suggestions, let me know. You can let me know either in the comments below, over my socials, which I'll leave linked in the description below. Like I say, I'll leave a link to this for SCP below as well, as I normally do. And I've got my email address in my YouTube bio for my YouTube email, so you can always drop me an email if you fancy. And like I say, hope you all enjoyed, and I shall see you all in the next one.